In today's Leeds news, Muniz not for sale, Krstovic mystery solved, Gudmundsson on Leeds links, Hamer to stay at the Blades, Gladbach fullback linked, and Premier League trophy involvement. Hey folks, Jer here at The View for Thursday morning, the 26th of June with your Leeds United news. I hope your week is going really well for you. It's a little bit of stuff to get stuck into, but I will preempt the whole video today by saying this is very much striking names off of transfer lists and nothing imminent is expected to come into the club at least this week. So it could be next week before we start to see some moves there. But there is some stuff to clarify at the very least, and put some names to bed as we then potentially move on to new names in the coming week. It's okay, we've got plenty of time. PSR windows on the 30th, 4 days left on that, and then we're likely to see things pick up a little bit across the board, exits and incomings. Let's start off today with the Rodrigo Muniz situation, and it's a day, as I say, to rule strikers off of your Leeds United list, and the club may need to start focusing on other targets. Leeds have been continuously linked with a move for Fulham striker Rodrigo Muniz this summer and had a £32 million bid rejected by Fulham just last week. There were some rumours that Leeds had gone back in with a second offer for the player, but those rumours are now said to be false, and even if Leeds did go back in with a second offer, it is reported that that wouldn't make a difference in the situation. According to Sky Sports reporter Lyle Thomas, he says that Fulham have made it clear that Rodrigo Muniz is not for sale at any price, and the report states that as far as the club is concerned, he is not for sale and remains an important part of Marco Silva's plans. Muniz is likely to see his existing 1 year remainder on his contract extended by a further year, as Fulham hold an option in that situation and looking like they will extend that deal to give him 2 years on his deal. And this means that at this point now, at least, Rodrigo Muniz is not a realistic target for Leeds United this summer, and they may need to move on and get another target in, or risk missing out by waiting for this one to potentially come available later in the window. But it's one that looks, for now, the price always seemed strange. 50 million was what they wanted. It was always excessive. They had that wiggle room with the additional year they could add on, which meant their hand didn't need to be forced necessarily this summer. It'll be interesting to see if the player decides to push for a move. He's already said to not be happy at the club, but they have made it very, very clear at this point right now, Rodrigo Muniz is not for sale. So let's talk about other striker targets that Leeds definitely aren't interested in. And this is the Nicola Krstovic mystery. And yesterday we described this as, for me personally, the strangest transfer rumour that we've covered in the 3 years that I've been doing this. But outside of that, as long as I can remember, this is a very odd situation to be in. Yesterday on the Inside Elland Road podcast, Graham Smith gave his insight into what's happening and some likely reasons for this story popping up, and the disparity in the continent journalists versus the local journalists mystery on this one. Smith said that they have checked with both sets of clubs on this deal around the move for Krstovic, as they always tend to do. He said that they have a two-source check before putting anything out, and Leeds United categorically deny having any interest at all in Nicola Krstovic. Smith said that there is clearly someone on some side here that wants this to be true by the sheer volume of Italian journalists commenting on this being an agreed deal already. And some of those reasons that Smith gave are as follows. The first one being the players' representatives wanting to kickstart interest in the striker after left from Serie A this season. I think Smith said he scored 17 goal involvements in a club that scored 25, 27 goals last season, so he had the bulk of their involvement in their goals and will likely want to move, and he is said to be keen on a move to a top-end Serie A side, and that could be one of the reasons that they're putting Leeds' name on this. The other one is to take interested parties and then to push them into a direct bid for the player by saying that there's an agreement in place and that might kickstart bids for the players. He also says that the part around the player not being convinced about a move to Elland Road is the part that gives the journalists on the other side an out in this situation. I said yesterday that it was very unusual to have what are normally considered very credible journalists put their neck on the line like this, but I think Graham Smith is right in this situation. Being able to say the player doesn't want the move, and if it does fall apart, then saying player wasn't interested, does give them a pretty easy out. But again, Smith says it's not the case. He's been told by somebody, he said he wouldn't name them, but he said that if a bid did go into Lecce, that Krstovic would crawl to Leeds to make the move happen. Smith's reasoning and his logic on this, to me, makes perfect sense. I would have to agree with everything he said yesterday. I thought it was a very good explanation of what's going on and the process that the YP go to find out whether these links are true or not. So at this point, we will stop talking about Nicola Krstovic until something more credible on the Leeds United side of things starts to pick up, whether that's David Ornstein, Baron Cross, Leeds Live, YEP. Then we'll start talking about it. So at this point, we'll say this. Leeds United hold no interest in Nicola Krstovic, and any reports to the contrary are said to be false. And as I say, Smith also said that there is nothing imminent planned in terms of incomings for Leeds United this week, so I'll have to wait a little bit longer to see if anything comes up. Let's move on to another player that's been linked very heavily with Leeds, and there is said to be interest in this player, and that's Gabriel Goodmonson, and he is currently at home and has had the opportunity to speak to Alan Spotston and gave some insight into the rumours surrounding links with Leeds and moves to the Premier League. Gudmundsson has 1 year left on his Lille contract in France and says it's very reasonable to understand these links because he has that 1 year left and he is likely to leave the club this summer. So he says the reports and rumours of an exit are understandable from that perspective. Gudmundsson isn't looking to renew his deal at Lille and the club are expecting, as is the player, to move away from the club this summer. And there is said to now be significant interest in him in the Premier League. On recent reports, he said that a good Premier League team have been in contact with him, and he does have aspirations of playing in the Premier League where his father played for Blackburn Rovers. More significantly, on the reports linking him having travelled to Leeds United and maybe undergone a medical, he had the following to say on that. I can say that much, that it's not true. I'm on holiday and I've spent my 2 weeks after the national team here at home. I was very clear with both Lille and my agent that I'm focusing on the national side and then I have a holiday. It is very important to me to be able to switch off completely and be able to recharge for the upcoming season. As with the other reports today as well, this is one case that we'll have to probably wait and see on this one. It looks like it's not going to be anything happening immediately. It could be a couple of weeks before this one gets settled. If his pre-season plans are similar to the Leeds United plans, he's not due back in pre-season until the 7th of July. Daniel Farke wants players in before then if he can get them. But this one may be a case of the player weighing up his options and seeing what's out there before he makes a decision. And if we're to believe what he has said to the local media, he's not looking at making the decision anytime soon. It could be a few weeks before that, but he is expecting to leave. He said it himself, he's expecting to leave, and the club expect him to leave. So he will go somewhere. Whether that's Leeds or not, we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, he didn't travel to Leeds, so we can categorically confirm that that never happened. So we can move on and talk about another player that's been linked at the beginning of the window, less so recently, but that's Gustavo Hamer. And another potential name to scratch off your Leeds United transfer bingo card this summer is Gustavo Hamer. And new Sheffield United boss Ruben Selles has been speaking to the media after his appointment as the new boss of the Blades, and he sees a future for Gustavo Hamer at the club next season. Selles did admit that he can't control the situation around Hamer, but says that he has his own priorities around the player. Leeds tried to sign Hamer last summer for a cut-price cheeky £13 million bid, which was at the time said by Chris Wilder to have been laughed out of the room. But Leeds are still said to hold some interest in Gustavo Hamer this summer, but it's said to not be at the same level it was last year. Selles admitted that he cannot guarantee that Hamer will still be a Sheffield United player come the end of the transfer window, but he believes that the attacking midfielder is essential and central to his plans about getting promoted next season for Sheffield United. Selles says that Hamer is a Sheffield United player now and that when the window closes, he expects the player to still be a Sheffield United player, or at least he hopes so in this situation. It's not dissimilar from Leeds United's situation with Jorginho Rutter last year, where Leeds thought we had navigated the transfer window and held on to one of our better players, only to then lose him at the last possible moment. And that could potentially happen here with Gustavo Hamer as well. But the Sheffield United boss believes that the club are in a good financial situation and are not in a situation where they need to sell this summer. So no panic sales are likely to happen before the 30th of June PSR deadline. And they're not going to be in a rush to sell him after that. And this could be a case of the player being the key part of this, and if he pushes for a move away from the club this summer and asks them to leave, then maybe then we see Leeds enter the picture. But as of right now, Selles plans on keeping him. We haven't heard from Hamer. We don't know where that situation is. That'll likely kick on once the players return to pre-season training in the next couple of weeks. Let's go on and talk about a new name that could be potentially an option for Leeds at left back, and that's Borussia Mönchengladbach left back Lucas Ullrich. According to reports in Germany, they claim that Leeds United and Tottenham Hotspur are both said to be two English clubs interested in Ullrich this summer, and he could exit the Bundesliga side in the next couple of months. Ullrich started 24 times in the Bundesliga last season, added 2 more appearances from the bench, scored a goal and added 2 assists for the side last season, which is not bad for a player only 21 years of age. So very good performances from a pretty young player at this point in his development. Ullrich's value is said to be anything between €8 million and €12 million, so he would be a value signing, but he doesn't have a huge amount of first team experience under his belt at a very young age. And you would probably want somebody more established from Leeds' perspective there, but he could be a very interesting option to bring in along with a first choice left back. If you could bring in 2 of them, it would be a step up from as well from mid-table in the Bundesliga to playing in the Premier League. But it's an interesting one, but it's not said to be from massively credible sources just yet. But we will keep an eye on that name. And then finally today, a bit of good news to talk about, and that's the EFL Trophy involvement. And Leeds have been confirmed as one of the Premier League sides that will take part in this season's EFL Trophy. Leeds, along with 15 other EPL clubs, are being allowed to enter their under-21 sides in the EFL Trophy this season, and Leeds will be in the Northern Regional groups and will join one of the predetermined groups once the draw takes place. That draw will take place today, the 26th of June at 2:30 p.m. So if you're watching this before then, you don't know. If you're watching it afterwards, you can let me know in the comments what group Leeds United will be in. There is no extra time played in these games. Any draws will go straight to penalty kicks. But this is a really good opportunity for this young Leeds United under-21 side to flex their muscles against far more experienced, tougher opposition from League 2 and League 1 as well, which a lot of these players, if they were going out on loan, would likely be going to those divisions. So this gives a chance to measure up where they are level with first team opposition. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thank you as always for supporting the channel. I will be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. There may be something out this evening, but again, it's very quiet at the moment. There's not a huge amount to talk about. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. We will have the weekly wrap up on Saturday though. That will be a live stream that will talk about all the news of the week and see what's happened while we've been waiting on those stories to iron themselves out. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Bye.